What's up guys, and welcome to Party MMR. Today we're going to talk about Nature Prophet as an offlaner, and we'll discuss every spell, and then we're going to talk about how you should lane. We're going to give you some tips how to win an offlane very easily against any hero, and then we're going to talk about talents and items you should get. Now first of all, let's talk about the first spell the Nature Prophet has. Sprouts a ring of trees around a unit, trapping it in place. It can directly be cast on any unit that is not a building or invulnerable or has immunity to magic. The cast range increases with leveling it up. The cast animation almost about 1.5 seconds. If the enemy has Link Sphere, it can block the sprout if you targeted him. But if you targeted the ground, he can be sprouted. So you could use it like if you have an Orchid, you could use it to remove Lincoln Sphere and then use Orchid on your enemies. Now, I don't recommend using this spell directly to be casted on any unit, so you have to use it on the ground every time. You have to learn how to use it on the ground, because if he has Lincoln, it won't be effective against him. Now, sprout trees have different model. They are smaller than the original trees that are in the game, and they don't have a dying animation. Now, there's some tricks that you need to know about this spell. The first trick you could use sprout is to push your enemies away, and second, you can use it as an illusion, so the enemy think that you're inside the sprout but you're actually behind it. The third trick you can use sprout is to remove Lincoln. If the enemy hero has Lincoln and you want to use Orchid on them, use sprout first as direct cast on the enemy to remove Lincoln, and then use Orchid. You can use this especially in fights and maybe for some pickoffs on the enemy heroes. Now the fourth trick you could use sprout is to observe the enemy, to get vision against the enemy. Like if you have Monkey King against you, and use sprout on the trees where you think that Monkey King might be there. And the last trick you might use them is to block the enemy vision. Now to enter the second spell, Teleportation. This is like if you master this spell, it's a very easy spell, but if you master it, you'll master Nature Prophet. Especially early game, you have to keep an eye on everything on the map. And especially if you have a ward, if you put a ward behind the enemy lines, maybe you can snipe the courier. Now remember, if the spell is cancelled in the middle of teleportation, it won't cost any mana, and the spell won't go on cooldown. Not like TPs or Boots of Travel. And during the cast time, the enemy and ally heroes could see the visual effect of the teleporting, and the enemies could hear the sound of the teleporter can see you. So keep this in mind when TPing. Try to TP on somewhere that the enemy has no vision, like behind trees. Now on to the third spell, Nature's Call. This ability gives you an amount of treants depending on the level that you have on it, from 2 to 5 treants. That has a cast animation of approximately like 1.5 seconds. The duration of the treant is 60 seconds. Now this treant has 550 HP and 34 to 38 damage with 325 movement speed, with a 37 cooldown on the spell. Now if you want to cast the spell, there must be at least one tree in the area that you want to cast it on. And treants always spawn at the center of the area. If you use sprout and you targeted the area that sprout is, and during the cast animation the sprout is gone during the animation, you will lose the mana and the cooldown without actually getting any treant. Now to the ultimate, Wrath of Nature. It has a cast animation of 1.5 seconds. It's a global spell that damages enemies near the casting point, nearest to the casting point. It bounces through the enemies up to 16 bounces, and the damage will increase with every bounce 11%. When you have Scepter, it increases the damage, and if a unit is killed with Wrath of Nature within 4 seconds, okay, there will be a treant instead of the unit. Now if it's a hero, it will be this unit but with 3 times as much as health and damage of a normal treant. But remember one thing, don't ever use it on an enemy that has Lincoln, or don't cast it directly on him. You can cast it near him, but not directly on an enemy that has Lincoln Sphere, because the spell will be cancelled and the cooldown and the mana points will be wasted. Okay, now let's talk about the talents. First talent on level 10 is either 30 movement speed or 30 damage. Actually, I prefer 30 damage at all times because it will boost your farm and will boost your chances of getting kills and some pickoffs. The second talent on level 15, that is 4 treants summoned or 8 armor. I always get the 4 treants summoned because I always play as a splitter push, okay? And I can use the 4 plus treants to actually farm in the enemy's jungle and reducing the enemy farm a little bit. For the level 20 talent, it's either minus 4 seconds on sprout cooldown or plus 40 attack speed. Now, it's almost always plus 40 attack speed is the better thing. And the last one, level 25, either double the treant HP and damage or remove the teleportation. Now, doubling the treant HP, it actually depends. If the enemy heroes can kill a doubled treant easily, like if they have Spin, Luna, or any hero that can farm very easily, and it's not a big problem for them, I actually prefer remove teleportation. And if you don't know the best thing to pick, just get remove teleportation because it is better in more situations. Okay, now let's talk about the laning. First of all, starting item, I prefer getting 2 clarity, 3 tangos, and boots of speed as a starting item. Boots of speed is very important for Nature Prophet because you can actually get kills, because you can use the treants to block the enemy movement, like if they are attacking you or if you are trying to kill them, you can use them to block them, and with the extra movement speed it will be impossible to run away from Nature Prophet. And especially if it's a weak support like Crystal Maiden or Lion Rasta, these weak supports can die very easily if you played it right with boots of, and if they went back and tried to kill you, you'll be faster than them, so you won't have a problem. And with the treants, you can block their path, so they won't be able to catch up to you at any point. Now later on in the game, you might get Dick Wand, and now I prefer getting face boots and Orchid as first items at all time. I don't prefer getting Scepter or anything like that because by getting Scepter you only give the enemy much farm, and you don't need that. Maybe the next item will be Scythe of Vice or Shadow Blade, like Silver Edge. It depends if you need it or not. Like if they have Centaur, you can get Silver Edge to remove the passive spell, or like Phantom Assassin, Bristleback, you can get Silver Edge against them. I don't recommend getting Hand of Midas because this will only make the game longer and you don't want that. If you end fast, that's gonna be better for you, because if they have more items, gonna be more counters and harder game for you. You wanna end fast. So now for damage, like you can get Desolator or Deadless. If you have a problem with some of the mobility in the game, you could get Blank Dagger. If you're having problem with farming, you could get Mjolnir. Now there's 2 ways to play Nature Prophet. Either you go full push, like get Necromicon, Scepter, Octarine Core, Mjolnir, or you can go full offensive. You can get Scythe of Vice, Orchid, Shadow Blade, or Silver Edge. You can easily pick off support heroes and any other hero with these items, and you can actually kill the carry sometimes, depending on the carry and if they have BKB or not. And now I will leave you with some tips for Nature Prophet. Don't forget to like and subscribe.